Hi Denise, how are you today?
Fine, thank you. And yourself?
I'm pretty good. Okay, so tell me about your education and experiences with adults with the developmental disabilities. What makes you a good fit for the position of a behavioral consultant?
Well, I'm currently right now studying at George Brown College in the Behavioral Science and Technology program. So I am actually working towards my diploma in behavioral analysis. I personally have not worked with adults per se, but I have gotten a chance to work in summer camps with kids. So of course, because kids eventually grow up into adults, I guess I kind of have my foot in the right field. And I feel like I'd be a good fit because I am a good worker. I'm really hardworking. I believe that I possess the necessary skills to be a good part of your team here.
Okay, and where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
Well, in 5 years, I hope to be graduated because, of course, this is only a 3-year program, so I should be graduated, and that I will be fully practicing in this field. And also to be in the next 5 years, I hope to be in your organization, being a working member of this community.
Okay, and what would you say are your top 3 greatest skills or strengths?
I would say that my top 3 greatest skills are communication, interpersonality, and also just like a drive to succeed. Communication is very important in every aspect. Of course, that's how we get our points across to everybody. So I feel like that's very important. Interpersonality in the sense that I'm very personable. I'm able to communicate with others and really come to a common consensus. And then also just being a team player, being very empathic, what's the word? Empathetic, and I feel like that's really necessary because in our field it's really necessary to put yourself into others' shoes and be able to see where they're coming from.
Okay, and what are your developmental needs or limitations?
A limitation I would say I have is that I take on too much. Sometimes I love to help. I love to make myself accessible to others, but I feel that sometimes I may do too much and it could sometimes become too overwhelming for me. So although helping is awesome and great, I feel like sometimes I could take on too much and then that becomes a burden for me, so it gets complicated in that aspect.
Okay, and why do you wish to leave your current employer?
Well, right now I am currently working at a movie theater, and that has absolutely nothing to do with the field that I am studying in. I'm also not a full-timer, I'm a part-timer there, and I feel like in order for me to be able to put what I'm learning in school into practice, it's important for me to be actually submerged into the field and working there. So that's actually why I'm looking towards leaving my current employer.
Okay, in your capacity as a behavior consultant working with adults with developmental disabilities, you are interacting with other professionals on a multidisciplinary team in order to meet the needs of meet the needs of your clients. What components do you feel are important to ensure effective teamwork?
Well, I feel like effective teamwork is achieved when you are an effective team player. And as redundant as that might sound, being an effective team player means to not only give your own opinions, but also take the opinions of others. So being able to work alongside your team players and collectively coming to a common consensus. I believe it's important to note that although you may argue with your teammate, you respect their values and then therefore work towards coming to a common ground, not necessarily pushing your beliefs onto them, but coming together and coercively coming to one consensus.
Okay, tell me about a time when you had a disagreement or a conflict with a colleague or supervisors. What steps did you take to solve this dispute, and what did you learn from this experience?
Well, using the movie theater as an example, I remember one time a coworker and I couldn't come to decide on how to close the store effectively. We were taking too long to close, and therefore a lot of people were losing out on sleep because of how late we would finish and how early we'd begin the next day. So her and I actually sat down as two shift leaders, and we devised a plan of how to kind of take some of the tasks that we have to do at night and start them earlier, so that way when it's time to close, our task load is not as long as it would be if we start later on. We found that this was extremely effective. We started closing down certain things that weren't being used as much, and so therefore when it came to closing, we were able to close down the store effectively, and that was very beneficial for us. Our supervisor actually used that as one of the ways to close down the whole store when other people were hired, and that was something that they kind of implemented as like a whole way to do things. So it was really effective in that sense, and it brought me happiness knowing that I had kind of like started a movement for the workplace. So that was excellent for me.
Okay, good. And if we were to ask your colleagues about your work ethic, what would they say?
Well, I believe that my colleagues would say that I'm incredibly driven. I love to take on new things and I love to act them out. And when I do take on something, I go wholeheartedly, I put my heart into it. I'm definitely in it to win it.
Okay? And if a client informs you of an incident where they were sexually or physically abused, what steps would you take to handle the situation appropriately?
If I were to be told of such an incident, first of all, I would show empathy for the client, let them know that I'm here to help, provided that that is the steps that they want to take. I would also make sure that I inform my supervisor of exactly what's going on, and since I'd be a new member into this sort of field, just kind of making my supervisor take the lead and therefore following suit that way, so that I'll be well educated next time if a situation like this were to happen. But first, as my first incident, I would definitely take it up to higher management and help them direct me in the right path of how to deal with a situation like this.
Okay, and tell me what leadership qualities you possess and how you think these qualities can enhance our organization.
I definitely feel like I am extremely devoted to the world of ABA. I mean, being newly introduced into this program, I definitely find myself as very interested in learning exactly what's going on. I am also able to learn and take criticism and therefore to better behavior. I believe that I'll be an asset to the organization because not only will I be here to enhance my sales and also learn, but I'll also bring in new stuff in order to implement it here and try to work together with my coworkers and also establish myself as a leader in itself, but not necessarily